This is the Barbados Today evening news for Monday, November 20th. Thank you for joining us. I am Marie-Claire Williams. Our top story this evening, murder accused 22-year-old Juneil Holder of Halls Road, St. Michael, has been remanded to prison until January. Holder appeared before Magistrate Elwood Watts in the Oistins Magistrates Court earlier today, charged with the murder of Andrew Prescott of Christchurch last month. He was not required to plead to the indictable charge. Holder is also charged with 2 counts of serious bodily harm, 1 count of endangering life, and 1 count of the use of a firearm. He is due back in court on January 17. In more court news, 3 men were remanded to prison after appearing earlier today, charged in connection with the robbery of the supervisor of Buckley Plantation, Charles Bino. Jermaine King of St. Philip and Ramon Goodridge and Andre Collymore, both of St. George, appeared before the Chief Magistrate Christopher Birch in the District C Magistrate Court today. They are due to reappear in the District B Magistrates Court on December 12. The war of words continues between former Attorney General Dale Marshall and Prime Minister Frundle Stewart over Marshall's allegations of increased corruption in Barbados. At a meeting of the ruling Democratic Labour Party last evening, the Prime Minister challenged Marshall to present evidence of corruption to the Director of Public Prosecution.
I challenge Mr. Marshall tonight. If you know where the corruption is and who the corrupt people are, I challenge you to assert the courage of your personal convictions and put your person where your mouth is. Go, don't come to me. And I would not advise that you follow the Commissioner of Police with it either. Go to the Director of Public Prosecutions whom nobody can instruct.
But Marshall fired back in a statement this afternoon, saying the Prime Minister continues to insult the intelligence of Barbadians. He said Stewart is aware that no person can report a criminal matter to the DPP since that office does not function in that way. He further stated that under Section 79 of the Constitution, the DPP's function is to institute and undertake criminal charges, but his office does not have any capacity to investigate wrongdoing, which is why criminal offences are reported to the Royal Barbados Police Force. Barbados and the rest of the Caribbean are being called upon to do more to protect the region's children. The appeal came from UNICEF officer for Barbados and the Eastern Caribbean, Heather Stewart, at a UNICEF Children's rally this morning to mark Universal Children's Day. She said while there has been much progress in safeguarding children's well-being since the signing of the Convention of the Rights of the Child, there is still more to be done. And she warned that the Caribbean is not immune to the problems facing children across the world, and governments need to pay special attention to them.
A lot of progress has been made. Senator Husbands reminded us. For you and with you, since the countries in the region signed the United Nations Convention of the Rights of the Child over 28 years ago. But we also know that lots of work remains to be done. In child protection, for example, to keep you, our children, safe from abuse. In education, to make schooling more relevant and responsive to your generation's needs. And in our economic models, to design the sort of policies that would avoid any child and their family having to live in poverty. The impact of recent adverse weather systems on some of our neighboring countries, their families and their children, also show that together we must tackle the serious issue of climate change. We know that there are many children who have had to relocate to Barbados and are in our education system. Today we want you to remember them, to embrace them.
Meanwhile, Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Education, Senator Harry Husbands, pointed to unemployment as one of the main challenges facing young people around the world. And he called on students to make full use of the education available to them to give themselves a better chance at success.
This is a big problem in Barbados. It is a big problem in the Caribbean. It is a big problem throughout the world. Wherever you go, the statistics on youth unemployment are alarming, even right here in Barbados. But there are, with every challenge there are opportunities. The government, wherever you are, in Barbados or wherever, has a responsibility to play. The private sector also has a responsibility. But you, remember I talked about responsibilities earlier that go along with rights, you also have a role to play in safeguarding yourself, protecting yourself against future unemployment. And how can you do that? It links back to the right that you have to that education. Make full use of it.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
Thank you for staying with us. We're back with news from the region. And we go to Trinidad, where the former Attorney General Ramesh Maharaj has given Angostura Holdings Limited 21 days to submit the findings and reports of sexual harassment claims against the chairman, Dr. Rolf Balgobin. Last month, the company said allegations of harassment brought by a senior female executive had been dismissed. Balgobin has denied the allegations that were first made last November. But Maharaj told a news conference today that his client will pursue legal action if the company does not meet the deadline. And finally, Germany's Chancellor Angela Merkel says she would rather call fresh election than lead a minority government after talks collapsed on forming a three-way coalition. We get the details in this Reuters report.
Crisis in Germany on Monday, as Chancellor Angela Merkel revealed her efforts to form a three-way coalition government have stalled. Germany now facing political turmoil, maybe even a new election. The discussions failed after the pro-business Free Democrats, FDP, unexpectedly pulled out. That was after more than 4 weeks of negotiation with Merkel's Conservative bloc and the ecologist Greens. They cited irreconcilable differences and a lack of common ground on key issues.
We
thought we were on a path where an agreement was within reach.
Merkel saying she will stay on as acting chancellor and consult Germany's president on how to move forward. Shockwaves across Europe, though. During 12 years in power, Merkel has become a symbol of stability, leading the Eurozone during its debt crisis and forging a deal between the European Union and Turkey to stem migrant arrivals. That wasn't an entirely popular move at home. Merkel was weakened after a September election, with many voters angry at her decision in 2015 to open Germany's borders to more than 1 million asylum seekers. They punished her Conservatives by voting for the far-right Alternative for Germany, AfD, party. Now 2 options loom. Merkel could form a minority government, or the president could call a new election if no government is formed.
And that takes us to the end of the news this evening. You can get more on our website, www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, and like us on Facebook. We're on Izumi Media in bus terminals and on Screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. You can also find us on Mix 96.9 FM. I am Marie Claire Williams. Good evening.